welcome to the next episode of the Paper Bag Club. My name is Richard Knox, and with me always is Aliyes Dell. Thank you for joining us. Today we have a special guest. And it is my mother.
Welcome.
Hello, Paper Bag Club audience.
Mm-hmm. So today we're going to be talking about our lives in the military life.
Yep.
As you know, me and Aliyes are what they like to call military brats. We were raised by people in the military. And my lovely mother raised military brats and served as well and still continues to work with the military to this day.
I raised three of you, Andrew, Richard, and Blanca, the loves of my life.
Whoop, whoop.
And raised them in the Marine Corps lifestyle over a period of, let's see, how old are you now? Yeah. So Andrew's 30. And, I'm sorry. This is supposed to do. Yeah, so...
anywhere between 20 to 50 years.
Yeah, anywhere between there, yeah. So it was hard and my pleasure, and if I had to do it again, I'd probably do things a little bit differently, but I would not want to have the experience of being in the military.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can say the same. Up until 2 years ago, I've been military brat. My dad just retired 22 years. I've been, we got to travel, never out of country. Mm-hmm. We always stayed in country. Mm-hmm. But I would have liked to do that at least once, but...
Like Okinawa?
Yeah, or Hawaii. Well, that's country, but still, mainland United States. But I mean, I've enjoyed it. At first, it was very difficult. I think kids in like middle schoolish area or even elementary school who have to move and relocate, find new friends, do this, that, and the other. It was hard to start, but I did the math. By the time I graduated high school, I went to 13 different schools through elementary, through high school. Right. So at one point, I think between middle school and high school, it was so consistent with relocating that I was changing schools like every 9 months, and it just became norm.
Right.
Yeah, I said, "Hey guys, I'm going back to California, or I'm going back to Georgia. I'll be back in 9 months." But it's not like my dad was deployed like every 9 months so much. It was every time he got deployed, we would move back home with family. Because the only reason we would move away from family is because of my dad and his job, and then. When it came back from deployment, we'd go back to California or whatever. Because it was mostly from California to Georgia. And then I've lived in Virginia, here, South Carolina, and I was born in North Carolina, Jacksonville. Okay. Actually, same hospital, same room.
Yeah, same exact room. Same exact bed. Actually, they just brought that same bed out.
Yeah.
Don't look so disgusting.
They were like, save this one for later, right?
We're going to need it in about 5 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was on a podcast or just general talking between me and him and Brandon, but I think one of us brought it up. We're like, I was born in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and they're like, oh, where at? And I'm like,
Onslow County.
Onslow Hospital. And they're like, what room?
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. And I never knew that.
I think I was very fortunate because we actually didn't move around as much as most people. I stayed here in Beaufort a majority of my life. Well, now as an adult, I'm still here, but I got to do a couple big moves. Once to California. I was born in Jacksonville. Then we moved to Texas for a little bit. Then here.
Yeah, I was actually pregnant with you, and when we moved from California to Jacksonville to hit your dad's assignment at Camp Lejeune and then my assignment at New River. So that was interesting trip all the way across the country with the full household, a little one, and him and I in our U-Haul, with all our belongings and wishing for the best.
Yeah, that's a long drive.
Yeah, I've done it a few times myself. Georgia, Valdosta area to Pendleton. That's where we were at.
Yeah.
Out of all the places you've been, do you have a favorite that you've ever lived?
Oh, I love Pendleton. The only thing that would have made it better if my mom was there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I probably would have gotten into a little more trouble if my mom was there.
A little more lenient?
Yeah. Well, I think you had a very lenient time at Camp Pendleton.
Well, yeah. Well, my dad, him being a single parent out there, he already had so much going on, so I could get away with a lot more stuff. And there's a lot of stuff I did get away with that he does not know about. But there were some things I got caught doing.
Future podcast.
And, that was... Right. Shameful. I was shameful child.
Yeah.
I was not good to him.
I'd like to think that had I been there, it would have been a more structured life, and I would have been more eyes on him. But I do know that at that age, you can't have eyes all the time, and they make friends and they go spend time with friends, and then they say, I'm going to so and so house, and then they say I'm going to so and so's house, and they don't go to either. So I'm not totally oblivious to that kind of
I've slept outside all night before. for and not
crazy.
my dad not knowing.
But I like to think that, well, it didn't happen under my watch, so it's not my fault.
Not my problem. Yeah, I mean,
You can only imagine what did happen under her watch.
Next episode. I think my favorite place I've ever lived because of the military would be Virginia Beach.
Oh, yeah.
I think mostly because I like snow, and that's the only place I've ever lived where it like actually snowed.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I remember in North Carolina, it did, but I don't like vividly remember it.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I was in Virginia, it was like 9th through 11th grade, and every season. I think that was really cool.
Oh, they had seasons.
Yeah. Here
It's still
like,
hot here.
Right.
It's January.
Said I think it snowed 2 years ago, and like the whole city shut down.
Like, what are we gonna do?
Right. Everybody drop your salt, packets.
That was not fun at the shop.
Yeah.
Our boss and the people in the building dropped pounds and pounds of road salt, and I don't know if they just weren't thinking what was gonna happen. All that salt came into the shop.
Yeah.
Days of just
Bad.
sweeping salt. Even after the snow was gone, it's just salt and salt and salt.
Yeah. But I agree with the Pendleton thing. I had plenty of friends there. Sleepovers every other night or every night if I could. And one of the biggest things I did when I was in Pendleton was we lived in Wire Mountain 2.
Okay.
And
Is that on Oceanside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's past. It's kind of close to Santa Margarita Elementary School.
Okay.
Did you ever go there?
No, I lived on St. Onofre side,
Gotcha,
so
yeah,
that's
like
farther.
an
An hour and a half away on the same
so,
base.
But I lived there, and the biggest thing for me and my friends would be to ride our bikes or our ripsticks. That's what motor transportation.
Rip it up.
Which had a one wheel back then. Was to go to the exchange. Just that's like a whole day. And it's pretty far. I can't really reference it to comparison like where I am now, but it was. Especially on like a bike or
Yeah, probably because
skateboard.
we're not walking everywhere.
Yeah, right. Having a car is kind of nice. But I never went off base with friends.
Oh.
I, just stuck to base and stuff. So, but I've had a lot of fun nights in Pendleton.
So what was your favorite part about being in the military?
The travel, probably. Although I didn't do too much traveling while I was on active duty. Now that I'm federal service, I do quite a bit of traveling. But the idea of travel and adventure, of meeting new people, of figuring out what is this life and what is this life in the military, and others from all over the country. Really, it's like this. When we're talking about America being the melting pot, the military is really the melting pot because it doesn't matter from what part of the country or socioeconomical backgrounds, male, female, doesn't matter. And you're all in it together, and you're trying to figure it out. And the leaders are figuring out how to be leaders, and the subordinates are figuring out how to follow and growing and things like that. So I think between that part and just learning what the military has to offer from a very young age. So I was 18 when I joined. Had my low part-time jobs before that, but when we're talking about a no kidding real a real job that has real implications on the real world, that was very eye-opening. And when you look at it from the perspective of the things that you learn at such a young age, and then look at what your civilian counterparts are doing at the same age, it's vastly different. The responsibility is immense, and they have full faith and confidence in you that your expectation is, here's the standard, meet it. And then when you don't meet it, okay, mentor you, train you, lead you until you can meet it. So that between that and the training and the learning how to be very resilient under all that pressure was very worth it to me. And I think I kind of sort of instilled some of those things in my kids.
Yeah, we're like hard rocks, especially in our heads. Resilience, the pressure. She's got hard-headed kids.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. So what did you think about growing up? What would you do different, or what would you want done different in the military, being a military brat?
Well, I don't know if there was, do anything different, because I feel like I didn't really do much other than just be a kid. I mean, I probably wouldn't have screwed around so much and, not make you guys look like assholes, for raising me. But, I completely enjoyed my time. The travel I did do, said it wasn't much, was wonderful, and I was always taken care of. There's always stuff to do. Living on base is such a wonderful thing because they have so many amenities just right there.
Programs too.
When I moved to Pendleton, they had a youth center literally 2 roads up from me, and when I moved there, it was the beginning of summer. I had no friends. I was like, what am I gonna do? I went to the youth center. Then eventually they made a whole like recreational center with arcade games and pool and air hockey and everything. And we would go there all the time and just hang out. They had vending machines and, you know.
You're not going to find that in a typical neighborhood in anywhere USA where you can go, be safe, have those services available to you, and for free.
No, for free.
Not.
And you know, we would stay out. It'd be dark. We're in the middle of the streets. We're playing manhunt, running around, playing basically tag, and you know, although we did kind of do some of that stuff when I was a little younger in the neighborhoods, it wasn't like on the scale of what it was on base, because there'd be so many of us. We all lived in the same neighborhood, and we'd all get together. There'd be 20, 25 of us playing tag, playing airsoft, you know, and it was just a wonderful experience.
How about
you,
Lex?
I don't think I'd change it. I really enjoyed being a military brat. Just again, the opportunities, same thing. I even remember any base I lived, there was a really big sense of community. Like when I was at Pendleton, I'm not sure if there's one summer I specifically remember. I'm not sure if they did it like every summer or every so often or whatever, but there was this one summer where every single Friday they had a block party on a different block. So you get to travel to different blocks of the neighborhood that you may not normally visit, meet some people, have a cookout, stuff like that, and then they would do like community movies. And they have like you said, like a rec center, and they have a pool, like a swimming pool. Yeah. And there was even this one summer where now it was free. I believe it was free for me. I can't imagine that it costed much. But one summer between 8th and 9th grade, I went on a hiking trip to Yosemite. Or Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Yeah, Yosemite National Park.
Shut up.
I said the same thing. The first time I ever saw the sign for it, traveling through California, I was with my daughter, and we were going on a work trip, and we were just driving up there, and I said the same thing, Yosemite. I had no idea. And then click.
Well, then I thought of Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I thought of Yogi
Sam.
Bear. Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
So one summer I went on a hiking trip to Yosemite, Falls National Park, and that was a really great experience. I've never been one for like big, like a hiking, mountainous, whatever kind of guy, but that was a really good experience and like a lifelong memory I'll have of climbing the Half Dome.
Okay.
There was like a guided tour and a bunch of other military kids from other parts of the base or different bases around the area. And we all had that one thing in common that we can bond over. And then based off of that connection, we could make other connections. So it's like, oh, hey, I moved here from California. Oh, you did too? Cool. And then based off of that, go from elsewhere. So I think it's really good starting point for conversations and making friends. And then I mean, even now, I showed you earlier, David, he's the guy who's getting married next year. I met him in Pendleton.
Okay.
Yeah And now he's my longest friend I've ever had.
We so I got here on Wednesday night. Very early Thursday morning, and that same afternoon I had a lunch date with my friend Rosa and my friend Linda, who, as you mentioned, you make friends in the military and you stay connected sometimes, and sometimes you might not see them for very long periods of time. And I reached out to them and let them know that I was going to be in town. And how we spent 3 hours at most?
Yeah,
3.5 hours at most, just catching up on things.
Everything.
And then they both sent text messages after. Well, it was really great. Let's keep in touch. And then they both told me when we were meeting, because Richard's here without, first degree relatives. They're like, he's family to us, so if he needs anything.
Any degree relatives.
And so, that friendship, that bonding that you make with, it's just a special type of people.
Yeah.
That you end up making, that kind of relationship with and stick with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine if my dad didn't, join. As far as I can guess, I probably would have lived in South Georgia my entire life.
Or not born.
Or that. Yeah, I can't imagine. Or that. Assuming
and then you wouldn't have to imagine, right?
Assuming the first happened. I can't imagine that I would have left Georgia until after I was 18. And that's where all my
You would have been
is.
an ass country boy.
Yeah, right. Which,
not a nerd.
Definitely would have had an accent, right?
Yeah, right. My sister does.
Hey,
she
y'all.
Yeah, but I mean, I was really, grateful and fortunate for the life I had and, still continue to have, like you said, lifelong friends, memories, experiences. One thing, I'm not sure if I can, if I'll say it's like a regret necessarily, but I did feel shortly after high school that I was almost like I needed to join the military in steps of my dad.
Sure.
And I did attempt it, but then I got rejected because of a wart.
Okay.
Which every time I tell that to someone who's in the military, they're like, "That's insane." But I mean, that's what they told me. So I don't know. So my next question.
I feel that a lot as well. You know, that immense feeling of this is what I should have done. It's like a family legacy almost.
Yeah.
Like feudal Japan samurai. Bring honor to the family.
Exactly, Mulan style. Yeah. So I mean that was something I kind of like. It wasn't like pressure on me. Like my dad wasn't like, "Hey, you're joining the military," or "You're like kicked out of the house." You know, nothing like that. It's just the way I grew up. Whatever my mentality of it was. My dad was one. I'm gonna be one. So on and so forth. You know, legacy. Do you ever regret Richard not joining?
I don't regret any of his decisions because they're not mine to regret.
That was heavy.
That's gonna be the clip.
Lay it down.
Ready.
I don't think.
Yeah, so
I don't think my father regrets it either. Okay. You know, well, I feel like there was a time where he probably did, but he has 5 kids, so not one of them joined the military, and he's told me before. You know, he wishes at least one of them would have, especially because on both sides of my family, there's a lot of my family that have joined the military. So with, you know, the line.
Can you name them?
Tio Nando?
Yeah.
You?
He followed in my footsteps, for sure. Yeah, my brother.
My father, his dad, the dad before him.
His Uncle Bill.
Yeah, his Uncle Bill. Yeah, he was a Vietnam veteran. He's got a Purple
Silver
Heart.
Star.
Yeah, Silver Star. So, you know, and he was a boxer in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, he was also the coach for the All-Marine boxing team for a great number of years.
Wow. So I did feel a big, immense pressure to do it. And then there was a time where I was actively trying to, and then it just fell away. You know, and I think a big thing about it was me not moving with my dad to Texas after I graduated. I feel like if I would have went with him and lived with him and my uncle, who was also a Marine, I would have been pressured to go, and I would have gone. And I'm sure I would have loved it if I would have been able to get through, you know, basic training. But it still weighs on me to this day where I'm like, maybe I should have.
The funny thing is, in my line of work, I run into a lot of people, civilian sector, and a lot of times, and many veterans and active duty people hear this is, "Oh, I was going to join. I was going to do this," so, you know, and something always got in the way, or someone else's opinions weighed more heavily on me, so therefore I didn't go. And I think even in the civilian sector, there's a lot of people who have those regrets. I think regret is a waste of time. You can't go back and change things, so I just feel like don't spend time worrying about that or worrying what other people are doing.
Write that down, people.
For me, I'm proud of my children if they had the reasons for not joining it, whether it's prohibitions like what you were saying with your medical condition that they determined. Yeah. Well, that's how we'll say it. Wink, wink, Navy or Marine Corps, whoever said no.
So you're lost, pal.
Right, exactly. But then that frees you up to do other things in our society, which you can be good people in our society if you choose to, and you don't absolutely have to have served. Although my personal opinion is I think every citizen should serve at least one tour, and so that they can understand what it is to the brotherhood, what it is, the sisterhood of the military, Army, Navy, Air Force. I don't really care which branch, but
that's how we feel about the customer service industry. Everyone should be working here so they know what we go through.
Right. Or janitorial service or something like that.
Okay. Yes. Well, you know what? Let's digress.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be interesting.
But you were also part of the Women's Marine Association.
I am. So I'm a lifetime member of the Women Marines Association, and it's designed to bring us together as women. Not so much, empowering, but support. Bottom line is support. So how are we supporting women in the military, specifically the women who served in the United States Marine Corps? And now we have expanded the association to include those who served in a corpsman position in the Navy, because they end up being embedded with Marine Corps units. So we've included them. Mainly it's designed to help veterans, support veterans. We do some fundraising, but those veterans who can't, maybe they have a hole in their roof and need to get it fixed. Let's join together and figure out how to fix that or get the funds together to fix that. Veterans hospitals. There's a lot of veterans that are residents of veteran association, what is it? The VA?
Veterans Affairs?
Yes, thank you very much. So the Veterans Affairs, they're residents, and so people don't go and visit them. They have needs. They might be terminal, and so we want to make sure that they're taken care of. They're being visited. Yes, the VA is taking care of them, but socially, you know, are people looking at them. I'm part of separately from that, I'm part of a Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders, fan club. And what we've done is we've adopted the California Veterans Home at Chula Vista. So that's separate from the VA hospital, but they're still veterans, Army, Navy, Air Force, doesn't matter. They go there, and we see a lot of people that just don't have visitors. They don't have families, you know, they're the last in their line or something like that, and bring them Christmas presents or just hey, how you doing present. Our particular club does a preseason football game with them, and so we'll go in our jerseys. We'll also do an ice cream social with them and things like that. But I think being part of these organizations, whether it's the Marine Corps League, Women Marines, Veterans of Foreign Wars, American Legion, whatever, even if you're an auxiliary because you didn't serve on active duty, it's a great way to spend your time, give back to the community, recognize veterans for their service, and just help those that are in need. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Now, the job you're doing now, is that separate from what you did when you were in?
Yes. So when I was active duty, I was in the HR business. Okay. So basically personnel and retention. Yeah. So so what I would do when I was active duty is basically payroll, benefits, and making sure that they were getting paid correctly and appropriately by taxpayer dollars and things like that. When I got out, I went to school to be a teacher, University of South Carolina here in Beaufort. Woohoo, Gamecocks.
Sand Sharks now.
Yeah, well, we're Gamecocks. Go Sand Sharks? Okay.
Sand Sharks.
Go all.
Yes.
Game Sharks.
Right, there you go. It all works, right?
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah, so what I do now is I'm in the business of teaching Marines and their family members, veterans, whoever just asks me questions about what their benefits and services are. I actually teach classes that talk about the Marine Corps specifically. So there's like a Marine Corps 101 class that we called Links, which is Lifestyle, Insights, Network, Knowledge, and Skills. So it's designed to, whether you're a Marine that's brand new to the Marine Corps, or you've been in quite a while and you just need a refresher on what your benefits and services are, or you're learning about the uniforms or rank structure, things like that. And also about the lifestyle. So what's the commissary? The civilian sector, we don't use that word, but basically it's a grocery store where you can go and get name brand and items that you would in a normal grocery store, but they're at a discounted rate.
Yeah, like tax-free or something.
Yeah, and it's also tax-free because it's on base. As of January this year now, veterans who have served, who have a certain disability percentage, are now also authorized to use the commissary. The Marine Corps Exchange, which is like a department store, is also open to them. Okay. So they have to do a little bit of paperwork. They have to get their ID and stuff like that. But yeah, they're and that's a benefit as of this year.
Yeah, it's funny you say the commissary thing because I mean, going from brat to civilian, that transition, I would talk about like, hey, I gotta go to the commissary, and they're like, the what? I think a lot of people, at least in my friend group, they think commissary, they watch prison movies, they say, oh,
right, sure.
Yeah, also because we're allowed to use the amenities until we were 21, so growing into that adult and then starting to do things on our own, still being able to access that, it was really like I would bring Brandon on base all the time every Monday to cash my check on Navy 5th. And it was instant, and I'd go get gas on base, and then okay, let's go.
All right, yeah, they got the commissary, the exchange, and then even now with Paris Island, the gym, like now we have to pay for it, but then I regret not kicking that up. Yeah. But before my expiration of my ID or whatever, I would go on base. You go to the gyms. They have rock climbing. They have like basketball courts. So, like all these great facilities, like even a bowling alley.
Movie theater.
Yeah, all these things, and so there's a lot that I miss about it. And I think back to the whole like the regret thing, because that's a strong word. I'm trying. I don't know a synonym for it, but I kept thinking like I'm 22 now. I could have served an entire term.
You could have.
A contract.
Try being 27.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I could have done that, but also. In not doing it, I have the life I have now, which I don't regret at all.
Oh yeah, I love where I am right now.
So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
people forget, or they don't understand, or they never learned that they have these benefits that they could take advantage of. And going from base to base, you have different amenities, different services. I mean, you have the basic same thing from base to base, but some bigger installations can afford to put more things. Like at Camp Pendleton, they have the stables and they have paintball.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, they have that stuff where a smaller base wouldn't have that. But I think it's important for very young service members, 18, 19 in their first contract, to actually seek out. If I were to give anyone advice on that, would be two things: wait to get married. I'm not saying don't get married. I'm just saying wait.
And don't buy a car,
give
right?
yourself don't buy a car right away. Let somebody else buy the car and then hitch a ride for $20 or gas money or something like that. But I think that more importantly is to go see the financial management specialist on base, free of charge, who can help you start learning about what money is and the importance of savings, the importance of investing, and the importance of learning what is the stock market and things of that nature. How to buy a house, how not to buy a car that's going to break down right away or get taken for 30% interest because you don't know any better. Like your story that you were telling earlier about someone helping you shop for a car, your first car. I think that was amazing. The other thing is to find mentors in every part of your life, whether it's a hobby, find someone who has that same hobby, who could do that hobby better than you, and be a mentor. Your work, whatever it is you're doing at work, find a mentor. Whatever you're doing in your playtime or whatever, find a mentor and diversify your mentors so that you can learn from the best of every part of your life. You want to be a great dad, find a great dad.
You didn't have a great dad? You better find one.
Go on Craigslist.
Searching for a great dad. I am 42.
Also I think Facebook's doing a big thing now with like their whole group systems. Like they're like very like targeted groups, like retired veterans, single moms, or vice versa, whatever. So I think just group and community is a really big part of at least my growing up with the military. So I think it was a really good time. I think when I was trying to go in though, it was like, my mom was trying to write off of me. She was like, hey, if you get stationed somewhere, I'm going with you.
Right, yeah. I think I probably would have done the same thing. Well, if all three of them would have joined, okay, you've got a trimester, you've got a trimester, you've got a trimester.
To do all different places. I'm going on vacation. I get a summer home, I get a winter
home. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I was just telling Richard yesterday or today that he really should get his passport. So, now.
Yeah, we're planning a trip to Japan now.
Surprise, Blanca. I don't know if you knew.
Let's have someone come out till next Friday. So.
She probably doesn't watch it anyways.
Okay.
Probably.
She had a good streak, but
again, that was some heavy stuff.
Yeah, right.
She probably won't watch it. So, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Mom, what a pleasure.
Oh,
I'm so happy you're here to be a part of this.
I'm so happy to be with you. I'm happy to be a part of the podcast. Thank you
absolutely.
for including me.
This is a really interesting episode.
And that was a really good one, too.
Yeah, too.
So, wonderful commentary, wonderful dialogue.
Absolutely. So you guys haven't seen each other in quite some time.
A month.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an 8-year span where we saw each other maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
And that was really tough.
I think we video called once in that all time.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's 4 hours away, and
But now we're here.
Savor the moment.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to be it for this episode of the Paper Bag Club podcast. Thank you very much for being on our episode. We appreciate your time and information.
Oh, you're welcome.
All of it.
You're welcome.
Check the description box down below for any links we may need for social media, anything else you need to check out there. And we appreciate you making it this far. And tune in next week.
Hit the like and subscribe button and the bell notification to get notifications every time we post a new episode.
Good night.
Good night.
Awesome.
What a wonderful time.
That's great.